Hi, boys and girls. Today for writing, we are going to be talking about how we can answer questions and construct our written responses. So let me give you a scenario, an example. Let's say we're in our classroom and I tell one of you to go get me, the work from the homework tray. So if I were to say, why did you go get the work? You would tell me, well, because you told me to. But if I were to ask you, how did you get that work? You would tell me by walking over to the tray. So I want us to focus on those two words that are often appear in written response questions, which are how and why. So today I want to teach you that some of the trickiest work on a writing test will be the work you do as you read the question or prompt. Sometimes you will be asked to explain why, sometimes to describe how, and you must notice that those are different jobs and be able to do the jobs you are asked to do. So what we're going to do is I have this anchor chart up because we've gone over what race means and it's how we answer questions. But for right now, I want us to think, I want us to look at a prompt and we're going to figure out whether the prompt is asking me to explain why or to describe how. So let me pull up my prompt. So it says, explain why school food can be terrible. Use two details from actual school lunches to support your answer. So, well, to answer this question, I first have to figure out what the question is asking me. Well, it's definitely not asking me to think about a character trait or a motivation or a theme. I don't see any words like that in the question. It's asking me to explain why cafeteria food can be terrible. That means I have to give reasons. So let me think about reasons why cafeteria food can be terrible. Maybe I could say that cafeteria food can be terrible because it's often the wrong temperature. So I can say school food can be terrible because. And normally when you have this why, your answer will have because. Sometimes it is the wrong temperature. It may be cold when it's supposed to be hot. And it says two details. So that's detail one. Now I need to give another detail. School food can be terrible because sometimes it smells weird. For example, when we are walking down to lunch, you can already smell it. So this is my response to why the food can be terrible. Why it can be terrible. But you need to be on the lookout to see if it asks you why or if it asks you how. So it can be terrible for two reasons. Because it can be the wrong temperature, that's why it's terrible. Or another reason is because it smells, how it can be terrible is the smell is weird. So what you're going to do today for your independent work is I have your assignment up here. It says today we learned that some of the trickiest work will be figuring out what the question/prompt is asking. Sometimes you'll be asked to explain why, sometimes to explain how, and you must notice that those are two different jobs. Please answer the following question and keep in mind what is the question asking you, or what the question is asking you. Number 1. Explain why we choose new books. Use two details from the classroom to support your answer. So I should have at least two details. Number 2, describe how we choose new books. Use two details from the classroom to support your answer. So you're going to answer that below here where it says response. And your job is you are going to have to tell me number one, why we choose new books, and number two, how we choose new books. And notice that the question, even though it's just changing 2 words in each prompt, it's asking you 2 completely different things. And you have a completely different job to answer the first one than the second one. Once you're done, make sure you share it with me.